All right, guys, we are here on Kulos Ravine. As SUGGY did have Terran selected there in the pregame, but he did switch to Zerg. We're not going to see a race change here from SUGGY, and he says he guesses he'll go Z. Hope I didn't really want to see a TBT, so that is good. Kulos Ravine, 4-player map. We do have only 2 players here, so this is going to be a pretty big map, and a lot of players call this the most technical map. So Jeff, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to Machine, kind of along those aspects. He says that this is the worst map for CPT, and conversely, the best map for TVZ. And I think a lot of that is because there's so much to do to go into that technical aspect you were talking about. There's so many cliffs, there's so many rocks that are destructible, and there's strategy involved in, destroying them or not destroying them or monitoring them, seeing if they're being destroyed. I mean, just looking at the mini-map, you can see, what is that, 10 Zelnaga watchtowers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this map. Also, the non-enclosed expansion. So when Zergs take their natural, they have to have some pretty clever placement for their spine crawlers and units. Otherwise, things like Banshees will get in there and spread them out. A lot like we just saw on Desert Oasis, but at the same time, not quite as dramatic.
QXC talking a little bit about those tips there in between, or on the loading screen, telling him that, of course, if you do my minerals, you will get things. So that's a good story. Okay, now he's saying it a joke, so I guess I'm just the fool here. We do have a drone coming out for SUGGY. I think that's going to be a scouting drone, as he has actually just spawned his second Overlord, popping him up to 14 supply now as he continues to morph in some more drones. Going back over into the Terran's place, he does have that supply depot done, and he's typing a lot, actually. I thought he was possibly going to miss that rack, so he was a little bit late, about 40 or 30 minerals over, which really isn't too much, but just something to note. We do have, going back over into the Zerg space, looks like he is going to be opting to get that spawning pull down instead of getting that fast expansion up first.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think you did invite 2 guys from the same clan, and they're displaying that not only are they players, but they are friends too, which is, when it really boils down to it, that's the most important thing about StarCraft 2, is that we all come together as a community and play as friends. And it's really nice to see them do that. So, a little tear just fell from my right cheek.
We do have a SCV scouting there. The north left side of the map, QXC not finding the Zerg player. I think he might have spotted that Overlord. Probably not, though, as it was out there in the middle a little bit. So he will be spotting the Zerg player here relatively soon. He's going to be seeing this natural expansion that was just put up from the Zerg player in about 4 or 5 seconds, and we'll have to see how he responds to it in his main, deciding to see what tech looking to see what tech he goes. Wow, as I stumble on those words. We do have really no gas yet from the Zerg player, so it looks like we'll just have to see what happens here from both players, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like QXC has a pretty good idea of how he wants to play TVZ, because we're seeing a very similar opening. The 1 racks, no rush to get that add-on. I'm assuming once he hits 50 gas here, he's going to add that reactor. Factory is down. So it's going to be the same thing. And yeah, there's the reactor, so he's going to swap it out, and he's going to use those Hellions to harass the Zerg and kind of force them to defend 2 mineral lines, kind of like we saw last game, and basically just whittle them down, force them into a corner. And that's what happened last game. I mean, we haven't really talked about that. It was a very abrupt, quick ending, and the reason was SUGGY was losing so many workers. He had to force himself to make so many spine crawlers that when his tech didn't work, when the Mutalisk looked to be very, very ineffectual, he actually quit the game and left very, very early. And a lot of people would say that what a terrible decision that was, and beat on him because he didn't try to fight it out. But the game was pretty much over. I mean, when the Terran is just doing that much one-way damage at no cost, it's very hard for the Zerg to come back, especially when their tech choice is just completely null and void.
We do have that factory switching over on top of that reactor, and here come the 2 Hellions, and now we'll have to see how SUGGY decides to deal with this. He does have 2 spine crawlers going up, but really, I mean, you cannot stop Hellions from getting into that main there. They could easily just walk directly by those spine crawlers there. It's just so many entrances into the natural expansion of the Zerg player right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of, I mean, if you look at SUGGY's positioning of his units, the Zerglings, the Queens there, he's very, very aware what the Terran's going to try to do. We do see the Hellions, sneaking up behind the mineral line. That's very bold, and I like the play. Oh my gosh, and they're going to have an opening up here. So this Spine Crawler's probably going to have to get up and guard the back up there. Both these Hellions, well, actually just one, I guess, is very low on health. But see, this is just it. I mean, it's not like this is an expensive attack. Cost a couple Hellions. QXC's getting a very good idea of what the Zerg's opting for, and at the same time, he's either killing drones or forcing him not to mine. And at the same time, he's forcing him to make spine crawlers. So this is all slowing down the Zerg. We see that he still doesn't have a lair. He has no money anywhere near being able to start one. Whereas the Terran's taking his expansion now. He's adding another factory. You know, the game progresses, but the Zerg is getting slowed down.
Now, we've seen this type of play from the Zerg player. Actually, that's one thing to note is that he just did drop down that creep tumor. If the Terran player does scout that and snipe it, that's going to be huge. But if the Zerg player does get it down, it's going to allow his queen to be able to move that much more. Looks like he is not going to be able to snipe it. He might be able just to kill it there with the AoE damage of the Hellions, though. Oh, one more shot and will fall. Wow, that is so low. I'm not sure if that thing actually loses or gains. Okay, it looks like it gains life. That was close right there. A little bit scary for the Zerg player. It doesn't seem like that creep tumor is that important, but it really is. And now we see all those Hellions just going on the other side as we do have those spine crawlers moving over to the right side, killing a ton more drones here. Now, what I was going to mention is really what can the Zerg player do to stop this? I mean, we've seen this really 2 games in a row now, or at least the last game we saw this, with these Hellions just constantly harassing the drone lines.
Well, to be honest, it's less a question of what can you do to stop it and what can you do to absorb it. And I mean, there's very common, you know, Brood War had a lot of things that was very similar to this. A lot of Protoss used to open up 2-gate, or, you know, there's things like opening up Dragoons against Terran, and it wasn't necessarily that you could stop it. It's not like you can crush it into the ground and make that your strategy. I mean, certainly you could, but that, again, is you rolling the dice, because if they do something else, you're in trouble. So what you can do is kind of what SUGGY's doing. I mean, you see him intermittently making drones. He's trying to stay ahead in supply and just basically manage his economy while basically absorbing these Hellions as best as he possibly can. And he's done a pretty good job. There's good saturation at both mineral lines. He's at lair, and he's progressing very nicely.
One thing that just happened, hopefully our observer caught that on the camera, but on the right side there, you might see a missing creep tumor, and it's actually really, really smart what QXC did. When he was running in with those Hellions, he did see that creep tumor, so he couldn't see it, obviously, because they do go invisible. He put a Hellion next to it and killed his own Hellion, which in turn killed the creep tumor, and that just makes, I mean, creep tumors are a really big deal, especially on this map, where getting around the map is something really, really huge to the Zerg player, especially getting these destructible rocks down. He needs to get those down because, of course, you will have drops happen from the Terran player. And, I mean, QXC is in a great position right now. He does have his expansion up, fully operational and running. He also has missile turrets all over the place. We do have that lair up right now, looking to see if we have a Spire spawning anywhere. No, we see an infestation pit, as well as an evolution chamber. Do you think we're going to maybe see some infestors, or are we going to see possibly, no, there's the hive. This is what I was going to say next. Are we going to see some Ultralists possibly, or even Broodlords? What do you think?
Well, I would say Broodlords if we saw a Spire, but I'm going to... before we get to that, though, we do see that the Hellions ran in, and this is at the most inopportune time. Not only is he going to get these kills on the drones, but he is seeing that very early hive morphing in. So it's more the story about the scouting that he gets from this. Oh no, the drones are running over there. If he targets that, that's... God, if QXC would have targeted that clump of drones, that would have been so heinous. Alright, well, anyways, back to what I was saying. I mean, the scouting is the story of that attack right there. So he knows early hive, low to no tech going on here, okay? So with that information, it's going to be interesting to see. Does he expand off of that? Does he look for an early push? Because, I mean, really, what could SUGGY do at this point? He can only make infestors and Zerglings.
It looks like QXC not falling victim to what happened on the first map and scouting all possible expansion points from the Zerg player there in the far left and bottom right-hand corner. And now we'll have to see exactly what SUGGY decides to do. That evolution chamber is going to be finishing there. And here comes the Ultralist Cavern there in the main of the Zerg player. So he is going to be going Ultras. And really, I mean, this is going to be pretty much like we saw in Game 1, which, if you remember, was action-packed. So I'm really excited to see what is going to occur here between these two players.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that it's going to be... I wonder if QXC is going to take advantage of this. This is a very cliff-heavy, you know, it's a very technical map like we talked about, and there is no Spire for the Zerg. We're not seeing any kind of capabilities of dealing with air units. And QXC is very abusive, so he might take a look at that and say, okay, well, I can drop all over the place or something like that. Before we even get to that, here come those Thors. SCV's in tow. They're there for the repair. This is that timing I talked about. There's not a whole lot the Zerg can make to deal with this. Zerglings moving into position, full surround, but they don't do a lot of damage to these units, especially given how much the Hellions do. Everything's falling. No Spinecrawler in range. Queen goes down. These Thors are sitting here blasting at that Overlord. Hellions in place. Drones are getting pulled back, so the economy's already been cut in half. It's going to be a tale of how fast this gets out. Look how fast that hatchery dies. That's without the 250mm strike cannon.
We do have 3 Ultralisks in production right now. One of those Ultralisks is in production at the natural expansion, which of course did just fall in. Never mind, it's not in production anymore because those Thors just demolished it. So now we're down to, or I guess we're back up to 3 as he has just started another one there in the main base of the Zerg player. But really, I mean, this is going to be really close. SUGGY might just lose it right here as he's going to be on 1 base, and we have another expansion up now and fully operational from QXC. So QXC is in a great position right now, and really when you don't even have those Ultralisks up at all, this is going to be a really bad situation to be in if you're SUGGY right now.
Ultralisks go down. I mean, there's SCVs here to repair. The support units are going to get fried by the Hellions. This is over. I mean, you're going to see these Ultras, and there's just one chasing Hellions right now, and it's going to die, yep, very quick, as you can see. Second Ultralist did its best to dice up those SCVs, but I mean, this is all pretty much semantics once again. QXC with a very nice timing. There's the 4 or 5 Gs for the good game, or good. But that being said, I mean, QXC saw it with those Hellions moving in and said, okay, you're going to try to, you know, push for the mid and late game with fast Ultralists. I'm going to use that opportunity to right now shove my stuff down your throat. And he pulled it off beautifully.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. QXC taking the first match, or I guess the last match of this 3-1 series. And he will be back tomorrow playing our next opponent. So we will see you guys then.